Okay, we are officially live. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Talk About It Tuesday. And tonight, just like every week, we have a very special guest joining us on the program. And before I formally say hello, I'm going to give you a little bit of a laundry list of some accomplishments she has here. This individual, going back into her collegiate days at Nebraska, is a three-time All-American, Player of the Year, and won 2 titles with Nebraska during her 4 years. She was a member of 2014 Junior Team USA, and 2017 she made the adult team and has been on the team ever since, winning multiple medals. She is also a PWBA player, capturing her first title in Topeka in 2015, and the ultra important one in 2018, which was her U.S. Open title. So without further ado, and I think I hit most of them, I'd like to welcome to the program tonight, Liz Kuhlkin. Liz, how are we doing tonight?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me on, Jeff. Very excited to be here.
Yes, we could be more excited to have you on. And as a national staff player with the Brands of Brunswick, there was, a pretty easy choice, and getting to see you throw the ball we're here to talk about today seemed like the perfect opportunity to have you on. So today, we're going to go over a bowling ball that, talk about a little bit that's been on the market for just a little bit over a month. And we're here to talk tonight about the Brunswick Hero Solid. And before I get into talking to Liz a little bit about the ball itself, we'll go over those, the techie type stuff that we do at the beginning. And then once we get that stuff out of the way, the boring stuff, we start talking about the actual ball in general and answering some questions and stuff. So, Hero Solid, obviously the Hero. This is the second ball on the line. There was originally a Hero Pearl, and now we have the Solid version. Has that same Contra core, and it's going to be wrapped in that Activator Plus 2.0 cover stock, 502,000, 2.47, 047 symmetric. Also features the dot and the dynamic core technology, which is very prevalent in the Brands of Brunswick balls, and definitely when it comes to hitting power and being able to drill these balls wherever we want. So there's the tech stuff. Let's get it out of the way. Let's talk about this bowling ball in general in some layman's terms. So Liz, I know you've gotten to throw this bowling ball quite a bit. So give us your first impressions on it, kind of use, and we'll go from there.
So my first impression of this ball, and this is going to sound very girly, but it's very pretty. I think Brunswick has certainly been doing a great job recently as far as shelf appeal with bowling balls. And I think the Hero Solid is one of the greatest looking balls right now on the market. You got the pink and purple colors going on. And even if you're a guy, you're loving it. So that's the first thing I saw about it. I said people are going to love this ball because it's got a great color scheme. But I was a really big fan of the Hero Pearl, and I know a lot of other people were. So I was really excited for this bowling ball. And I think when you get it out of the box, you kind of get intimidated a little bit because you think it's going to hook a lot. But it was a very pleasant surprise for me that it's more of a benchmark ball for me. And I really like that. I found this ball to be super versatile. I was able to get a little bit left with it. I was able to play a little bit of a tighter angle, did a little bit of everything. I was very, very satisfied with it, very happy. I drilled a couple already. So I have one pin down, one pin up. So, of course, when you do that, a player really likes the ball. And I know I'm probably going to drill more of them as well.
Absolutely. And, it's funny you say that because, if you can tell when a player doesn't really care for one because it's usually one and done. You don't see it come out of the bag very often. But, when you're saying shelf appeal, it made me chuckle a little bit because the first one that I got into the center was one of my staff balls. And I wasn't able to drill it right away. So it was like, all right, I can't sell it yet, but I'll throw it up on the, the shelf so people can see what's going to be coming out, with the release date. And that particular one that I got, the color scheme, with the pink and the purple and the black, the way mine came through and was blended looked like it was perfectly straight lines, almost like it was a 3-piece. I don't even know how to explain it. You got to see it in person. I'll have to put the picture up on, but it just, it doesn't look like the phasing like the one in the background here. It was like distinct lines. And everybody was they're like, I want that one. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be picky. I'm a guy. I like pink and purple, and I like this ball. Well, that one's mine. You ain't getting your hands on it. And it really, for me, it was a pleasant surprise because I generally struggle sometimes with the heavy phasing of colors in bowling balls if they're super vibrant. I kind of mitigate or migrate towards, the solid color bowling balls. But this one's very, very easy to read with the color scheme that they actually put into this.
I agree.
Right. So when you say, you drilled the first one, you did a pin up, you did a pin down. Liz, are you the type of player when you get a first ball, you're going to, specifically drill the first one you get in a specific manner? Or, do you kind of change up layouts along those lines?
So I've gone through kind of a roller coaster with how I go about drilling balls. There was a time period where I felt I had to do some different things to make a bowling ball do a certain thing, and I did some funky layouts. And I think over my career, I've really found that I have two layouts that I stick to, with the pin down and pin up. Obviously, there's some different ones I do from time to time, but I'm really a believer. I have a couple favorite layouts, and I tell people this, and I put them on almost every bowling ball I get. And I
Mhm.
feel like personally, that gives me the opportunity to really see what the ball is going to do and how it fits in my arsenal. When you start doing the funky layouts and different things, I feel like sometimes it kind of changes how the ball rolls, obviously, and it may put it in a different part of your bag than it would if you just used your favorite layout. So I work with Tom Mungin at Modern Game Pro Shop in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and he's a really smart guy with layouts, and he knows, he's been drilling my stuff for a couple months now. He knows what I like. He knows what pin up layout use, pin down. So I really tend to be simple with that kind of stuff. I really believe in simplicity with that.
Yeah. And you're kind of resonating what a lot of the other individuals and the guests that we have on the program are saying. And hopefully everybody, the audience that watches this each week or watches the videos at another time, they kind of hear that because we're all saying a lot of the same things, whether it's out in the guys tour, it's the girls tour. A lot of the individuals and the players are doing the exact same thing because we're allowing the bowling balls to roll the way the manufacturer intended them and to fit. So like, Brunswick every once in a while and some of the other brands within Brunswick will put out a chart that'll kind of show you where each one of those balls fit. And it's a really useful tool to understand what the current product offerings that are out there. And when you're making a decision with your pro shop. So, if you're up in Massachusetts or, where Liz gets her stuff, or you're down here in Pennsylvania and you're working with a pro shop that you go into, they're going to want to, these guys may know, where it fits, but you can work on that together to say, hey, well, I have this ball and I have this one and I feel like I need something in the middle. It's a very quick reference. When you start going in and you start really, every bowling ball has a different layout and getting so hung up on that, these bowling balls don't fit. And the other thing I see is if an individual is independent, for instance, and they have too much variety from multiple brands, and I'm not saying just within Brunswick, but they may have a Brunswick ball and they may have a Storm or a Roto ball or a 900 Global, and they got a mismatch. Stuff doesn't fit. It doesn't make a lot of sense because they are intended to fit differently. So I think it's an awesome point that everyone has been bringing up in the program. Keep it really simple. Okay. When you aesthetically find something that matches your eye, you definitely want to, use that as your benchmark layout because that's the way you want to see the bowling ball. And then if you're going to drill the multiples from there, Liz, like you said, you drilled a second one pinned down, a little slower motion, a little more rounded for you. And if you drill more, maybe, the angles and stuff may be similar, but you'll probably just mess around with the pin to pap to make it flare a little different.
Right.
And I think that's important for everybody out there that's watching the programs to understand that that's how we do it from the top echelon players like Liz that's out there, winning US Opens and stuff like that down to when she's going to bowl league at, I believe it's Town Academy where you had 890.
That's
Do I have that right? Okay.
Right,
Yeah. 890 at Town Academy. And maybe we can ask the question there. There was one a couple weeks ago that said, do you drill bowling balls different for tour than you do for back home, Liz?
No, I do not. You're right. I've actually gotten that question quite a bit. Do I find that some bowling balls roll better in league compared to tour? Of course. I mean, there's going to be those types of situations, but for me, I don't necessarily concentrate on, okay, these are my league balls, these are my tournament balls. I mean, usually I'm able to cross the paths just fine. I know a lot of players do that, and they have their bag that they bring their league, and they have their bags
Mhm.
that they bring into tournaments. But if I like a bowling ball, then it's coming with me everywhere. I ain't leaving
Right.
it at home, like I'm not that type of player. But, there are times obviously a ball will roll a little bit better on house than it will at a tournament when they're a little bit flatter. But
Yep.
I pretty much like to bring my stuff everywhere. If I like a bowling ball, I'm gonna throw it anywhere. So
And absolutely, I'm the same way. And you'll see it a lot. I mean, we distinctly change, the motions of those same bowling balls by using it with surface, right?
mhm.
A lot of it was surface to control our front to backs, get the bowling balls to slow down a little different when you're bowling on the flatter stuff. If you're bowling on the nice pristine house china, we might be able to use something closer to the box finish, or we're definitely not using a lot of 500 in house and stuff like that. But when we're getting out on and Liz is competing on a tour, she's obviously hitting balls pretty frequently before the start of a block, and knowing what our progressions are going to be. But a lot of people that think that we just have these different bags. We may have a different bag when we're out on tour, but only because we leave 3 balls at home so we can bowl league in between stops, and then we
Right.
leave the rest of our ball. The rest of the bowling balls are
On
on
the truck.
transit going to
Yeah.
the next stop. So it may
Right.
seem that way, but it's not. Those are any different. And again, here's another pro that's won a major telling you the same thing. Where you don't have to feel that way, gang. The one thing when we talk a lot about on the program, our gear is important to us. It's a tool that we use out there. The other portion of it is just the hard work that goes in, to prepare yourself for the situation to go out there and excel on the lane. So it's an equation that isn't just one sided. I, as a pro shop operator, would love to just say, okay, I'm going to drill you a tournament ball so you can stand in the same place you want to stand in league. But I'm going to here to tell you that doesn't really work.
Right.
You got to be versatile. You got to be able to play different portions of the lane. You got to be able to do different things with your hand positions, and essentially adapt to whatever the lane wants, because that's really what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
So going to the Hero Solid, okay, great ball. You got 2 of them in the bag right now. You share with me right before your feed. You've been throwing this quite a bit in league, right? So let's
Mhm.
talk about, is this kind of a first ball out of your bag in league right now, or where's this kind of fitting in for you?
Yeah, I mean, this can be the first ball out of bag, and honestly, league. I've used it. The owner of Town Academy, Marty, he is running a team tournament, a $4,000 team tournament that he runs throughout December all the way through January. So I've been bowling that practically every single weekend because why not? I'm right down the street, and I've used that ball a couple times. First game out of the bag. One thing I have seen with the Hero Solid that is actually something I'm trying to work on a little bit myself. I've always been the type of player that I pull a ball out of a box and I use it right away. I've found out over the years it definitely helps if I alter some surfaces, and I've done that with the Hero Solid a little bit. I maybe will run 2,000 pad over it, 1,000 pad over. I've seen some success doing that, but I'm able
Okay.
to use this ball first game, use it well into the second game. Usually I'll start to see some carry down. I'll have to go to an ASIM usually after that. Honestly, this ball, it's very versatile. That's something I really like to see in a bowling ball. I get to do a lot of different things with it, but this is definitely a ball that I pull out to use right away because it's a very benchmark type of ball. Like I said in the beginning of the broadcast, I'm able to see, okay, are they going to hook too much? Are they, you know, hooking? This isn't hooking enough. Maybe I need to grab something out like my Zenith, things like that. So it's definitely that type of ball where you can judge what you're going to do next by throwing it.
Right. And what else? I guess the good question would be, talking about a Zenith. So, like, what else is in the bag right now? So, like, where does this fit around you? What would you say in Liz's bag is kind of what your step up or maybe your step down to help other people understand that where it kind of fits for you currently?
Yeah, so definitely the Hero Salad is certainly one of the most I don't want to use the word aggressive because I know, I'm talking about how versatile this ball is and it is, but definitely the Zenith I have above that. My melee jab, blood red is something I've been throwing a ton as well. And I know a lot of people really like that ball right now because it is great. I just drilled the Web MB. That's also going to probably be a step down for me for the Hero Salad. I really
Hmm.
have those two being a kind of 1-2 punch from one another, and then I'm able to go to my melee jab, and then after that I have my track tempo. I kind of feel like that ball's a little bit of a sleeper, track tempo, but I know that
Oh
we're
yeah.
not talking about that ball. But
It's okay. It's okay. We've done a lot of them, and I had Matt Sanders on, and we talked a lot about that. So it was absolutely.
Sleeper
Yep.
ball for sure. Very good. But I have that a couple steps down from the Hero Solid, and also the Black Widow 2.0, which I also think is very similar to the Hero Solid as well. I find that ball to be a little bit more continuous for me, so that's another really good complementary ball.
Right. And it's amazing. And I mean, obviously, Liz, you've been with Brunswick since 2018. And then, we're a little over a year and I think about a month now since the acquisition for the Ebonite brands, which were familiar with in the past as well.
Yep.
And, we get the questions all the time, what is it like to have seven brands at your fingertips? And I mean, I think everybody's words are the same thing. At first it was like, wow, this is kind of a little overwhelming, but now it's kind of like I don't ever feel like I'm missing ball reaction. I don't think you've ever heard anyone is ever going to hear me say, man, you can't outbowl bad ball reaction. And I'm like, I got 7 brands that are full. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and chalk that up to maybe I ain't throwing it very well, and
no
and that's
excuses.
I feel like there's less of that because there's so many options that are out there. And, but, that's why we love having individuals like yourself and the other staff on the program, because it's, you get to throw a little bit of everything. You mentioned about a sleeper ball in there. Absolutely. There's a lot of those, right? And with everything going on in the world with, going through COVID and a crazy 2020 and ball launches happened and places shut down. And there was a lot of bowling balls that kind of came out and maybe didn't get as much traction as they should have.
Right.
And that's definitely one that fell into that. Track had come out with that. They had come out with the original Proof, and around that same time period. And that ball is amazing in its own right as well. And now, we kind of open back up, we're getting a lot of traction, and then bang, here we go again, a couple areas that can't bowl. And we've had some announcements today. We got some more announcements for some January balls. I don't know if you've seen that,
yes,
but
I did see
I'm
that.
super pumped about some of those as well. And I'm not going to sway off the balls we're talking about today, but a couple other ones that'll fit nicely around this and the Brunswick line there. I mean, that knockout that's going to come out, that's definitely going to be for the people that love that melee core. Here you go.
Right.
It's going to be a definite one in the bag there. But one of the other things, I guess I want to ask. Sorry, I was trying to look at a comment here just to make sure we don't go too far that I'm missing something. So, Chris Wilson. So, if you had to compare, how different is the Hero Solid to the Deviate Decree Solid reaction wise? Actually, Chris, those are both actually symmetric balls. I don't know if Liz, have you thrown the Decree at all? Have you thrown the Deviate, the other pink one?
I have. So, I would say. Yeah, I mean, like you said, they're both symmetric, so they kind of have similar ball motion. But I would have to say the Hero Solid, and Jeff, you probably the grit that they have on the core, the sparkly, that is the
additive.
Hero Solid. So the additive, that is, I see that digs into the lane a little bit more for me than it may for, say, a Decree Solid. But I really like the Decree Solid as well, and obviously that had a super awesome color scheme as well. So that had a lot of shelf appeal too. But they're pretty similar. But I would say if I had to separate the two, the Hero Solid definitely will dig into the lane a little bit sooner because of that additive. In my opinion.
I believe so as well. I think that that Decree, ended up being is probably a tick cleaner, Chris, and it's probably, while the Decree may be a little quicker, I think the Hero is going to be more through the pins. A Hero Solid's definitely going to be more, if you were to compare to a different brand, maybe like a Hammer Fugitive, something along that lines, it's going to have, that more rounded off shape, but it kind of reads the mids a little harder. But good question, Chris. Hopefully that answered what you were looking at there. You had another one up here, 890, amazing. Yeah, Lance, if you didn't see that was 300, 290, and I'm going to go off my memory here. That was actually a Scandal, correct? Scandal
Pearl.
Scandal Pearl.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I remember having 300 once, not in a row. It just doesn't. But to this day, I believe that's the New York state record, I believe, for females. Nothing that has not come down.
It's
or is it nation?
It's actually a world record, believe it or not.
Awesome. Okay.
No female has bowled 900 yet in the world.
Yeah.
I always said to myself when I bowled 890, I said, "Oh, I'm never going to get a chance to do that ever again. I'm never going to have a chance." And then a couple months later, I actually shot 879, and I had more of a chance to shoot 900 then because I actually had 32 in a row. So, or not 32, 33 in a row. I'm sorry. So at that point, I actually had I had a chance to bowl 900. When I bowled 890, I smashed eighth first shot in the third game. So I couldn't bowl 900 at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's silly. I mean, it takes me 4 games to get to, 879 or 890 at this point in my life, but doing it in 3 is a little easier, I guess.
What's
It's a
so
little quicker.
crazy? What's so crazy about that, Jeff, is that I go back and for Lance, he can watch that on Facebook if he wants. If you Google if you Facebook search Liz Kuhlkin 890, it'll show you the Facebook Live of me bowling 890. But when I go back and watch that video, I actually get a little disgusted with myself because I was not throwing the ball very good. My swing was really steep at that point in my career. My swing had gotten away from my body, and I'm a much better player than I was then. And it's
Mhm.
just, I shot a massive score, and of course I'm proud of it, and I don't regret anything. Obviously, it was awesome.
Mhm.
But it's just so funny how things like that can happen. I look at that video and I'm like, oh my God, Liz, you're
Yeah.
throwing the ball
Yeah.
so bad.
Well, the fun, we talk about this all the time, and it's I think sometimes it's even harder because when you become more accurate, you tend to see, and it sounds crazy that your league scores don't. They almost, not that you don't average as much, but they seem like you don't put the big sets up because
Right.
when your accuracy goes up, you're beating that part of the lane up,
Mm-hmm.
and when you kind of spray it a little more. And there's
The
free
lane holds
friction to
up
the
better.
right, and there's the lane actually ends up holding up better. And when you bring it up, we ran into that this weekend. We went down and bowled something small in Delaware, and we had a lot of good players in our pair. And we get there and find out that we have to bowl all 5 games on the same pair, and we're like,
Oh
huh?
boy. That's new.
I rattled off probably the nicest 8-bagger to start the day, and then smashed a 10, and I proceeded to whiff it and went sheet for 260 and could see him changing. And I bowl 140 the second game, so it was fun.
Oops.
It happens, but you had 5 people in the lane and beating the same part of the lane up and pretty accurate players, and then we blew the
Right.
lane apart. So it can go both directions.
Mm-hmm.
You got some Yankees fans. Oh, it's Ryan. It doesn't count. Saying
Oh,
go Yankees.
good.
He's trying to get some bonus points here. We're not we're not ignoring everybody here. Brandon, we kind of went over that with the layouts here. Liz kind of does use the same layout on most of her balls. Drilled a second one of these. What's the name again on Facebook? Oh, Junie's asking, and Junie actually, she's been watching on here just to give you a little feedback, Liz, of how far this goes. Junie watches from the Virgin Islands.
Wow.
So I remember
Hi,
that
Junie.
name. So it's pretty cool that we get people all over.
That's very cool. If she's talking about, so my personal page is just Liz Kuhlkin, but my athlete page is Liz Kuhlkin -PWBA, which is all my bowling related things and stuff like that. So please follow me. That'd be so cool. Shoot me a message. We can chat. Whatever. Very cool.
Yep. All the pros are always so gracious to answer questions, and a lot of them have athlete pages, so make sure you look those up and support those. They really do. It's fun as an athlete at any level to interact with with fans and try to help others educate and kind of go through their stories as well. And when I asked, Liz and I talked about doing the program, and then we kind of talked a little bit earlier about what else we might talk about is there is some good news on the horizon, with everything going on with bowling. It does look like, from my understanding, that the 2021 PWBA season is likely going to kick off. So I know there is a event scheduled in, I believe, Fort Worth, Texas. Is that on your agenda, Liz, or what is going into 2021 look for you like so far? And just baseline, are you looking to bowl? What's on the horizon?
Absolutely. I mean, hats off to the PWBA, to Neil Milligan, USBC, Chad Murphy, everybody who has really worked really hard to put our tour together again, because obviously absolute devastation last year with everything that went on and our tour being swept out. That was really sad, obviously, everything that happened. And for them to put together a tour that has more tour stops, more money, I mean, it's really just like a grand entrance, honestly. You know, the biggest thing is we don't have live TV anymore. We don't have a TV contract anymore. So all of our events are on Bowl TV, but that gives people a chance to subscribe to Bowl TV. All of our events will be on there, but we do have a kickoff event in January. That's actually at the ITRC, I believe, in Dallas. And I really want to go to the event. But obviously there's a lot of things going on right now with COVID obviously still being, running rampant, obviously all over the country, and especially where I'm from in New York. Obviously, New York is the epicenter of this virus and where it all started. And unfortunately, it's coming full circle. And basically, the governor has made it really hard to leave New York State. And I understand because basically he doesn't want us leaving, which, again, I understand. And it's very difficult to leave New York State right now. It includes getting COVID tested before you leave. It includes getting COVID tested if I go to Texas before I leave to come back to New York. It includes quarantining for a week afterwards and getting another COVID test. It's very, very involved. I have a job. Back home that, I work at a grocery store back here, and it's something that I do rely on. And there's a lot going into this. I guess the roundabout answer is that I have not signed up for the event yet. I want to bowl, but I still am pretty undecided about what I'm going to do. Of course, I want to bowl. That's the answer, but there's a lot more involved. This obviously, as everybody understands, and I still have some time to make a decision. And believe me, there's days I've leaned towards that's it. I'm doing it. I have to do this. I mean, come on, it's a kickoff event, and then there's days I go back to okay. I have responsibilities and things I have to do. And so that's in January. I'm super excited for it. Again, I'm gonna have to make a decision here in the next couple of weeks. But the good news is no matter what happens there, we have April coming up after that, and we have a full tour schedule after that, which I 100% plan on doing because I never usually work in the summer anyway when it comes to April and on. So I've already planned for all of that. And fingers crossed that with the vaccine, which by the way, the first one was administered in New York yesterday. So I'm hoping with that going on, our road to recovery is coming. And by then I'm hoping things will be a lot better.
Yeah. And it's another good point because, we talk to people all the time here. Liz is a professional athlete. Okay. She's a professional bowler, but she also has a life when we're not able to bowl. Okay. And, it is a constant juggle with, no matter what tour you're bowling on, there's very few people that only bowl. So, and I think it's one of the misconceptions. And I think I don't want to say I get angry, but, too often we see like in multiple states where you'll get a professional athlete that's locked out of a tournament because they're a pro. And it's almost like individuals feel like, okay, well, they're a pro. They make money all the time. No. We're all the same people. These individuals work hard. They usually, I would say 90% have full-time jobs and then juggle tour life and things that they're doing on top of that. So for any tournament directors that may be watching us, which I know they do, hear my words, be cognizant about that. Especially with everything going on right now, Liz is telling you now, she has to make a decision that's best for her. Even though I know deep down, obviously you feel like when you go into a tournament, you could win every time you're there.
Right.
You have a responsibility back home and you have to balance those. And, it's all the same. I myself, and, I try not to talk about myself too often, but, I went through a whole slew of years, and I'm talking 12, 15 years of being hurt. I mean, to the point where I couldn't compete and did what I had to do there. And now I'm healthy and now I want to bowl. But at the same time, I have this company that is, I'm running a small little bowling center that I own, and the shop is crazy. And it's like, how do you you got to still balance between the two. And, for everyone that's watching out there, it's tough. And sometimes it's even tougher because you're balancing a regular job. You want to go on tour, but you have to have time to practice. And everybody that bowls in league and stuff, we get the same thing. Well, I don't have time to practice. Well, we're all the same way. Okay. So it's
Right.
even more when you think about it. So, really respect that, the amount of time and the dedication and stuff it takes to kind of go out there, and please stop locking us out of tournaments. It's not fun. We're USBC members. We pay our dues just like everybody else. And we love the bowl. We just happen to be decent at it. Don't hold us back for that. But, I think at the end of the day, Liz, I mean, you're going to make the best decision for you, and everybody's going to understand it too. The situation is different depending on where you're coming from. And I mean, I understand what they're trying to do with the quarantines and the things like that. And,
of course,
maybe maybe this first stop will have a lot less entries. We don't know what it's going to look like. I know there's some, meetings and stuff coming up for you all, and maybe you get to understand it a little more, and, that may help out. But, with the vaccinations and stuff going out, hopefully trying to get a hold of this, let's say by the end of Q1, we'll see a little more normalcy and be able to get back out there in the lanes like normal, and not have to pick and choose the way we have to do it right now. But we got a whole bunch.
It stinks. This has to be a decision, but.
So Brandon's asked a couple questions. So I'll give him one at a time here. He came on a little late. So obviously we're talking about the PWBA, but at the same time, anything specifically you do to prepare? Outside of just saying I practiced.
Well, I'm pretty fortunate. My home center town bowling academy, Marty Capolo, he's very good to me. He lets me bowl on a lot of different patterns, and that's something that do we bowl on a lot of really short stuff, a lot of really long stuff? No, not particularly. Honestly, we bowl on a lot of medium length stuff, which I'm not that great at all the time. So I actually do take a lot of time bowling on the medium length stuff, some of the flatter stuff. Repetition, kind of getting into the swing of things. I do bowl a lot of league from time to time. So sometimes we were talking about your accuracy, you kind of start to spray it a little bit, stuff like that. Definitely when those tournaments start to come a little bit closer, I try to really concentrate on the accuracy, on the spare shooting. The spare shooting kind of gets mishmashed there within the couple months we have off, because I know that's really important. And then when we really start to get close, especially since now that we have so many brands, I really try to zone in on an arsenal that I really feel confident in, that I want to bring out there and have out there. Now, Jeff, we all drill a bunch out there, not we all, a lot of girls maybe don't, but I drill a fair amount. So I know I'm going to drill balls when I'm out there, but I still want to bring like 4, 5, 6 balls that I really feel confident in, that I can then build an arsenal on out there. So I think that's one of the biggest thing I do, is really concentrate on, okay, what balls I'm going to bring, and what do I feel comfortable with the angles I have and the ball motions I have, especially on the patterns that I'm practicing on.
Yeah, so it kind of gives you the 6 benchmark balls, and then you pick and choose depending on what you're bowling on that week, which makes perfect sense. And you know what? Everyone we drill out there isn't good. We know that, and back to the drawing board. So it's
right.
They're all the best educated guesses we can make to kind of fill in the gaps when we're out there. And I mean, luckily you have transport to get them to and from, but that adds up if you have too many balls on the transport.
And I don't drive barely anywhere in between stops, although I shout out PWBA. There are 2 stops in New York this year, and one of them is in my backyard, which is awesome. Super excited about that.
Well, you know what? I didn't look at the whole schedule. So what do you have in New York this year? What's your areas?
So we have Farmingdale, which is downstate, so a little bit closer to Poughkeepsie, like the city area. And then there's one in South Glens Falls. They're calling it the Albany Open, but I'm going to break everybody's hearts a little bit and tell everybody it's not in Albany. It's in South Glens Falls, a little bit north of Albany. But that's about 45 minutes away from me, which is just, I'll be able to stay in my own house. I'll be able to, hopefully by then, when all this COVID crap is over, have the girls over, have a cookout or something. So that's going to be really exciting. And, again, I'm hoping everything's over, because everyone's saying we're going to come watch. And I know the area I'm from, the capital region, is very bowling rich. They follow PWBA. They love the PWBA. So I'm really hope by then all the fans can come and enjoy the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I hope for that as well. It's hard to see any type of a sporting venue when the fans aren't involved, and hopefully when they put your broadcasts on at the beginning, though, they don't put in the fake fan noise, because that just
little cutout fan.
Yeah. Or maybe we should give that to Tennille, because I think if I read correctly, when they do that in the stadiums, my understanding was they were like season ticket holders, and they paid like $150 to have the cutout of them put
Wouldn't
there.
be a bad
And
idea. You're right.
and they donated it though. Like they donated it to like a good cause. So it wasn't like it was going to the
Right.
owners or anything there. It was a pretty cool idea.
That is a good idea.
I'd pay $150, to have my smiling face in the background there, feel like I was there. I think it's not a bad idea. But if you get it to Tennille, I think it's going to be full of a bunch of baby Yodas instead, because we know her
She
obsession with
loves
baby.
that.
Yeah,
Every day different meme. She cracks me up. I love watching. Every day it's going to be a different one. Some of them are really funny.
What do we got here? One from Gabriel in here, and I just chuckled. Matthew said, "Is he going to let Liz talk at all?" I didn't think I was talking too much, but maybe it's a gift.
I talk a lot.
It's the gift of gab. I don't know. If you were able to bring one vintage ball back from the 7 brands, what would it be?
Hi, Gabe. Gabe and I bowl league together. So hi, Gabe.
Okay.
One vintage ball. So I wonder what he means by that. I guess a ball that's retired. I would guess that is what that means.
I think kind of like, Brunswick had like, the Danger Zone or, stuff like that, maybe from the past that would come back.
Right.
Like Gold Rhino, like they re-released like the Gold Rhino Pro there for a while. So thinking maybe that.
I'm going to be honest. Unfortunately, I haven't thrown a lot of those. However, I've heard so much about the Danger Zones and things like so many people I talk to love those balls. But if I had to pick one from the 7 brands, so that would include Ebonite and Track and all that. One of my favorite balls ever was the Ebonite Playmaker. Okay,
Ooh,
it was purple and black and white, and I threw my first 300 with that ball. I threw my first 700. So I have a lot of feels for that ball. I actually still have it downstairs. Obviously, I can't throw it now, but I would bring that back. I loved all. There was a lane maker, playmaker, game breaker. I loved that line. I had all 3 of them, and I loved them. So if I could bring a little series back, obviously the game breaker has grown up into a big umbrella of things now, but the original one is pretty dang good too.
Yeah, they've served their purpose for a long time, and I'm sure that placard will be back at some point. But if that's play that goes back. I can literally see the logo of that ball, like it just popped into the mind.
Like a little X,
Yep, the little X, and just the distinct color purple that ball was. It was just a little different, but it was again multi-phasing color there. But very, 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 very cool. I don't even know what I would pick, to be honest with you, if there was a vintage ball at this point. I don't know. There's so many good balls out right now that I don't even know that I'd have to ask for one. I mean, I'm excited
That's the thing too. Yeah,
there's just so many good bowling balls out right now. I mean,
the Creed. I have to mention the Creed because that ball. My God, I mean, I made the U.S. Open show because of that ball. Basically, I mean, I still have 3 or 4 new in box of those. I'm not gonna lie. I got a little stash. Just in case. But that was really one of my favorite DV8 balls I've ever found, the Creed.
Ebonite Pin Slasher, Original Taboo, 9B Urethane Hammer. Well, Rick, that would have to go back to the Fab-All days there, bud. So that's a little different blue hammer than we have. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to. Gosh, man, I remember. I'm aging myself a little bit here. Maybe like going way back to like an original purple Rhino Pro or something. I think would be really cool to. I don't know. It's hard. Those vintage balls are a good idea. I think it kind of keeps it fresh and all, but it's hard to put down some of these current releases too. For me, like, for like hammer balls right now, I obviously that's the brand I'm under first. I mean, the Web Tour hybrids and the 2.0s and stuff like that. Like it's all I've been throwing, but then I have to go into the Brunswick side of it because I'm, love the fact I can throw them again and melee jab, blood reds and stuff like. I mean, that ball is just amazing. So
very good.
It's a lot of playing time. But,
it's funny because I was not a huge fan of the Melee Jab SC, the purple one. I just I never quite got the right shape for that ball. It either never hooked or it hooked too early, or I had really trouble just finding a space for it in my bag. And then so when the Melee Jab came out, it's kind of like the blood red. I was a little skeptical, obviously, and I didn't need to be because the ball is freaking awesome. It's just a little bit earlier for me than the SE was, and I'm just able to kind of get left, and it makes that turn just sharper than that SE did, and I
Yep.
really like that.
Same thing, everybody. We all say the same thing. That's why I just chuckle, because it's like it was supposed to be a direct remake of the purple, which was, a limited release to depending on what you bought from a distributor.
Right.
Color matters, and color does change characteristics of a bowling ball up, and that blood red is definitely a little earlier. It's just better through the pins. It's I was the same way with the purple one. It was a little squirted a little too much.
Yeah, a little too clean. Just too clean.
Had to keep after it too much, but believe it or not, Liz, we're at the 40-minute mark, because talking is very easy. And we, Liz and I talked beforehand. She has we did a special time tonight because she's like, darn, I really want to do it, but I got an associated meeting. I was like, all right, let's just do it at 6:00. So want to make sure we're really cognizant of our time here. But definitely as we release more balls, Liz, we will obviously have you on here again. I can't wait to see some of these new ones go down the lane. Maybe we'll even do something creative where, we do a Throw It Thursday segment usually each week after this, and we'll throw the ball down the lane. We've done a couple recently where we've had people throw them remotely. So maybe we'll have you on. You can throw some shots for us at like town or something. It's the same platform. It works pretty easily. It's kind of fun to do that. Changes it up, and they can get somebody other than me to throw the bowling ball down the lane for them. So
yeah, definitely. And I mean, if anybody is interested as well, I'm also dabbling a little bit more in ball reviews now. I have a YouTube channel now called Queen Bee Reviews, and I also post all my reviews on my fan page, my Liz Kuhlkin PWBA. And I want to give a shout out to Tom and Dave at Modern Game Pro Shop. They've been absolutely phenomenal with helping me doing ball videos. Dave puts all the ball videos together for me. We do all different kind of angles. Those guys, thank goodness for them, because I have to say, Jeff, and I know you're familiar with this and you do ball videos. They're hard to put together. Like, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into putting those together. So I really appreciate those guys. And I've gotten a lot of really great feedback from people. So I'm really hoping that people watch them and benefit from them. And I'm looking forward to doing more.
Yeah, it's great. They're great tools. We're all in here to educate people. We're all in here to cross promote. So, when Liz talks about, the big things for like YouTube channels and things like that, after you get off here, go on and make sure you subscribe to Liz's channel. Just like, I'm actually streaming to YouTube right now and Facebook at the same time. Same thing. You can go on to the peer reviews here. You can watch these live streams. Liz can put this onto hers as well. And it's a good way to, educate the public. We talk about things and just really get a good sound understanding for what these bowling balls do. So it's, an unbelievable outlet. So if you haven't done so already, go over, subscribe to her page, add Liz on your athlete page as well. I don't have an athlete page. You can get me on my standard one or through Pure Bowling. You got to be one of them good bowlers to have them athlete pages. They get them shiny trophies or those tiaras they wear up there. But one day I'll get my tiara. I'm working on
it.
So, but Liz, I definitely enjoyed the time talking to you tonight. And we like to end every broadcast with the same message, and that is, if you're in an area that you can bowl currently, please go out and support those local proprietors. If the pro shop in your area is open, especially going into, the Christmas season here, or if they're closed, maybe they offer gift cards, something along those lines, please go out and support them. It's their livelihood. We want to make sure that, we support bowling as much as we can, bowl some extra practice games and really give back to the community. And we love this game that much. We want it to be successful, and they need us right now. So, support bowling, and stay tuned for the next broadcast we'll have up there. Liz, thank you again for your time. If I do not talk to you beforehand, make sure you have a Merry Christmas, and we'll be in touch soon. All right, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff. Take care, everybody.